Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Closer Experience. If this is your first time joining us, our Closer Experience is our midweek experience at the Leadership Church. We call it an experience because it can be a variation of small groups, Bible studies, midweek pop-up services, chat and choose, panel discussions just like we're having today, and conversations or coaching groups. So buckle up and join the Closer Experience today. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Closer Experience. We're so excited to have this moment to share with you. We have dedicated the entire month to talk about relationships. And so today we are talking about couples, married couples. And so as you can see, I'm joined with Pastor Tony, my other half. Yes, from Holy Ghost. And we are representing Team Falcons because we believe that all marriages should be on the same team. And we will be joined by some other fantastic teams today as well. So come on and join us and hear about the Closer Experience. Welcome to what every married couple needs. We are so excited to be here tonight for our Closer Experience. Say hey, Pastor Tony.
Hey, Pastor Tony.
You know what? I knew he was going to be clowning. As you can see, we are joined by another team. So you have Team Cassius and we have Team White.
My name is Raymond.
And I'm Nicole.
And tell them how long y'all been married.
It'll be 1 year next Sunday.
Woohoo! So I don't know, does that mean we still call y'all newlyweds?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So we're joined by the newlyweds, right? The newlyweds that are celebrating next month. And so this whole month we've been talking about relationships. And so we're just gonna dive into what every married couple needs, all right? So relationship growth typically refers to development, evolution, and improvement of relationship over time. And so that growth can happen in so many different dynamics. And one of the things that we find with couples, the main thing, or I guess some of the main categories, we would say that impacts couples or impacts marriages is communication and trust. Mm-hmm. So, Team White, on a scale to 1 to 10, with 1 being you barely tip the scale and 10 being you're experts in this area, where do you think you fall on communication?
What would you say, honey? I give it a 7.
I would say between 7 and 8. I was going to
Okay.
say between 7 and 8.
Okay, that's a good number for a newlywed, right? Okay, and so what reason would you give yourself a 7 and 8? And I'm not talking about communication just when things are going good, but consider communication when you have challenges too.
Right. And I think you hit the nail on the head. It's when things are not going well.
Right.
You know, how long do you go without talking to each other or being mad with one another?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll let it linger a few days,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But there's a method behind that madness as well because, you know, making up is fun.
Okay, right.
So, but for the most part, I would say 7 overall. I think we do have open and honest communication.
Amen.
And so, but we have our moments just like every other couple.
That's
so,
right.
like I said, after a few days, you go, let it go, let's sit down, let's hash it out, and then I'll forgive her and we'll move forward.
Because it's usually her fault. I know my sister, it's usually her fault. I just had to straighten her on something that was her fault.
Well, one of the things they say is regularly talking about your feelings, thoughts, and concerns. Listen actively to the other person and validate their emotions helps with communicating. And so, what do you think, Team Cash? What do you think we fall on our communication?
You want me to say 10, right?
No, I want you to say whatever the number is.
Oh, okay. I'm just saying. Now she looked at me like, Negro, we're hosting this? Blink. So hey, Pastor Lisa, she's like, blink if you understand. I mean, you know, this is year 19 of marriage and then year 20 of us being together. And so I think there's been a vast improvement in our communications, and it's hard to scale it, but I would say, 8, 9 in the sense of what has improved with us is when we are upset or disappointed in something, I notice now humor comes out of it. And early in our marriage, wasn't nothing funny.
Right.
I'm gonna tell you, like I used to be like calling people on the phone, going, yeah. They said blink, and I'm like, we're on the phone. They can see my phone. But now I notice humor comes out of our arguments, and one of the things that happens is she will start the humor now and mock me, which is a good thing, because at first she was a very serious-minded person. And so I might try to make us laugh and whatever, and again, she'd be like, and so now she mocks me, like if I get excited, she mocks me. It's irritating, but it's refreshing. Because that means we're able to, because nothing moves till the woman moves. I want all the brothers to know. You can be like, oh, let's just move on. I'm just letting you know. Nothing moves. Pastor Terry just look at me and blink. If you feel safe, because, so yeah, I think 8, 9, because that, the laughter that's come out of the disagreements now is something I've always hoped for.
And I would agree too. I think our communication has evolved tremendously over the years, because there would be a time where when we weren't seeing eye to eye, I needed a week, not a day, a week. Give me a week before I could move out of a certain space to be able to talk about a particular subject, whatever the subject it is. And that was, that had something to do with temperament, that had something to do with timing, that had something to do with owning my emotions about it, and the headspace that was needed to be able to navigate and talk through some different things, because communication is sending and receiving messages. And a lot of times we find in couples, especially one that's more passionate about certain things than others, they like to send messages, and they were great in being articulate in sending messages, but the receiving part of the message, they didn't leave a lot of room to receive in the message. Talk a little bit about that, White. When you have conversations, whether you're agreeing or disagreeing, how are you with sending and receiving a message? Does one of you interrupt the other one more so than the other, or the other person doesn't get to complete a thought, or any of those shenanigans happen during your communication?
Well, I think with us, I think one of the biggest parts of communication is learning how to communicate, learning how your partner receives what you say. So with Nikki, I've learned I've got to let her finish her complete thought without interrupting.
Okay.
Okay, and that's better for both of us. She gets across what's on her mind. I sit, listen, receive it, and then I respond. For the most part, but it is learning how to communicate.
In other words, you don't get blood on the carpet. You and Michael Jackson.
True.
Nikki, is there anything you want to add?
Well, no, I mean, I can agree. I don't agree with, I'm not saying I don't agree, but he doesn't interrupt me, but he does get his point across. And it's not always pleasant, but I know it's coming from a good place. It's not coming from a place of malice. So that makes me more susceptible to listen and attempt to receive what he's saying.
Intent.
Well, one of the things that we had to learn when it came to communication is that we're on the same team. But sometimes when we're not in a good space as a couple, when we're seeing things, we're not seeing eye to eye, it may not feel like we're on the same team. It's like, okay, you on a totally different team that I'm on. I'm seeing it this way. Talk a little bit about that, Cash.
Sure.
I cannot.
If you're seeing this, I'm okay. I actually, I sleep right there where you're at. Things are not okay to be transparent with you, Pastor Lisa. So if you all came here and the TV was turned like this, it's because I slept right there. And so I'm just telling you all the truth that 20 years don't make you not have fights and disagreements.
Yes.
What happens is the next morning I've learned my place. So I don't know what to tell you.
We're not going to get far with communication today when it comes to Pastor Tony. But what I can say is this. It doesn't happen overnight. You have to develop some type of rhythm.
Sometimes.
Yeah. And then,
when I'm sleeping.
you know what? And one of the things that I can attest that has helped us is timing. Before, it's like if I had something to say, or if I wanted to talk about something and he didn't want to talk about it, it burned me up that he didn't want to address it. And I wanted to address it right now. Or I only felt like he wanted to address it when he wanted to address it. You know, I started feeling like tit for tat kind of thing. Like, okay, it's okay when he's ready to address it, but when I'm ready to address it, it's like, I'm not ready to talk about it right now. So it started to feel like it was intentional, right? And then I said, well, you know what? The way I'm feeling, the truth be told, this might not be the right time to address it anyway, because we may do more hurt to one another than helping. And if the goal is to resolve the issue, how much resolution would be done right now if I'm up here and he's up here? So this may not be the right time. So it's something that, let's say everybody say table it.
Table it.
It may be something we just have to table for now. Now let's talk about trust. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay. On a scale to 1 to 10, with 1 being barely tipped the scale and 10 being, an expert, how are you all on trust? Team White.
I like to just clarify trust in the sense that
Okay.
not do you trust in infidelity, but do you trust them with your feelings, your emotions, your thoughts, your fears, to the point that if I want to say something, there's not punishment behind what I say or what I do. Is it a safe place? Like, Raymond, is it a... Because that's my sister, so I know.
And being reliable, keeping your promises, because sometimes we face that too in marriages. That I trust that if you said you was gonna do something, that you're gonna follow through on it, and if not, then you come back and circle back and say no. I'm not gonna be able to do that.
But that trust part, I'm just saying, with your emotions and all, what do you got? How do you feel about that, Ray? Or Nick, whichever one?
So for me, I would say 8.5, 9, and the other 1.5 or 1 point is not off anything he's done. It's based off my past insecurities, past relationship, past events.
Can you explain that a little bit for us?
Just things that I have gone through, things that I have witnessed, that people that you would not ever think would disappoint you, they have, and in ways that were devastating. And so he's not done anything. This is not on him. That's solely on me.
But he's just having to, I guess, in a roundabout way, he's paying for it till you grow beyond that. Okay, I can understand.
So for me, I would say an 8, only because we're still learning each other. But being that we were a little older when we got married, trust is something I take very seriously. If I didn't trust her, I wouldn't have married her.
Right.
I wouldn't have asked her to marry me. So an 8, because there's always room for growth. So I don't think I'll ever say 10, because I don't think you can truly perfect it. 'Cause,
Right.
You know, anything can come to you, could be thrown your way during life. So you just have to work together.
Yeah.
You know, you have to tackle it. Again, you have to know the intent. What's the intent? If we're on the same team, then we shouldn't be out to hurt each other.
Yeah.
It should always be to help and improve your relationship. So.
And I know this thing is really short, so I'm gonna put me and Pastor E out there in a way when you talk about trusting the person with your emotions, your feelings. And I'm gonna ask Nikki. See, Nikki has been with us our whole process of being married. She's seen ups and downs. Nikki and Elder JP get the calls when we're not seeing eye to eye, but we don't like something about the other person. And Nikki has been there when I'm fuming or she's fuming. And just talk a little bit, and this is so that people can have hope. Talk a little bit about what you've seen in the marriage from 10, 12 years ago to now, that's a reminder just by us being the leaders of that there's hope, even though you may be in a difficult place.
That you all never gave up. That you always stayed prayed up. That you all loved each other enough to communicate with others, get their opinions, seek out help, and you were transparent in that. And that you just never gave up. Divorce was never an option. And so for a lot of people, especially in this day and age, that's their go-to. Oh, I'm tired of this, I don't have to deal with this. And they give up. But the two of you, I've watched you grow, mature over the years. You have never given up on one
Have you
another.
seen us in some really bad places?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, have you thought like, this don't look like it's gonna,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. But I always knew in the back of my mind that you all would sustain, because even talking with you individually, privately, you all always talked about the love that you shared. And so although you were angry, although you may have been disappointed in one another, the love never went away. The love always remained, the love always continued. So how can you give up on that?
Yeah, and I just think that's important, guys, because, you know, sometimes when you see a couple and they're doing great, you can make the assumptions that they just got there through osmosis. And just here, the thing about Nikki has seen us where I'm saying I'm leaving, I'm tired of going through this, I've left the house, went somewhere to see. She's seen all of that in our marriage. This is not a picture that just started out perfect. So, you know, even someone, and I'm going to ask Pastor Lisa, just that transparent, what does that do for you in marriage, Pastor Lisa? Just hearing that about your leaders.
It's very encouraging. It's very encouraging. And it puts a lot of trust in me, in you guys, that I know that whatever I go through, right, that you're prepared to help me. Yeah, so it feels great.
Elder Wanda.
You already told me I can't leave, so.
I got to tell Elder Wanda, you can fight all day with my brother, but y'all ain't going nowhere. And that's the way we have to be with each other. And some of y'all have wanted to fight me for that because you're like, but I want to leave. And I'm like, right.
I have a comment.
Yes, go ahead, Elder JP.
I want to say why the pastors, the leadership is so important, because whoever is viewing this, whether they're saved or not, we have to know that people are people.
Yes.
We're not without fault, and so everybody has their personalities, their strengths, their weaknesses, and to see that in your leadership means there's room to fail. At the end of the day, you are a man and a woman, and you are possibly going to fail, but you don't give up, and so you don't present a false sense of who you are. And because if someone's watching you and they think that, oh, I've got to measure this,
That's
they're
right.
always right. They've never had any issues.
Right.
That's something we can't take.
That's
that.
correct.
And so to have that genuine look at how you guys operate is so hopeful to others that we can get through this.
Yeah.
And I would like to interject that I think when it comes to our marriage, that for trust is big for us. It is a 10 for us. You know, it's a 10 for me because you know I trust him like uncontrollably. Trust. You know, he knows. I've had his social security number memorized since we've been dating, so he already know where I was. Yeah, that part. Oh yeah. So we're good.
By the way, that's not a joke. Even though y'all, and we got a disagreement about
Right,
that
yeah,
because one day
yeah.
we hadn't even gotten married, and I don't know if I was trying to break up whatever, and she's like, that's okay because I got your social. I said, Negro, what did you say? And she rattled it off. I said, well, I guess I got to marry her. She can do Social Security fraud.
Right.
But that's a true story. Like, I was upset. She had already learned, and we've been 20 years, and I don't know the first number of her Social Security.
Right. So I totally trust him. I trust his motives, you know, even if he doesn't get it right, you know, and he drops the ball on something, you know, I just trust his motives, that his motives was right and his motives are pure. And so with that, you know, I mean, I think in any marriage, that is the muscle that you definitely have to develop. You know, if you're going to develop any muscle, you know, spend time developing that trust muscle, because the word of the Lord tells us to the pure, all things are pure. And so I have to know that when Tony is making decisions for our household and when he's making decisions for our marriage, and being that he's the leader in our marriage, that he's making the best decisions for our marriage. There was a point in our marriage where I wasn't doing so great with the finances. So it came to be where the trust part, I had to help rebuild that, you know? And I was derailing our financial future. And so with that, it took some time. It took some time for us to rebuild that, because I mean, there was a point I thought he was gonna leave me, like seriously, like because of the background he came from. He grew up without things, and so there was a space that he didn't want to go back to, and I didn't realize how that was a trigger for him, and how it was messing with his trust factor when it came to our marriage and came to our relationship. So I fast forward to where we are today, rebuilding that trust muscle. It takes time, especially when you're on the end of the person and you breach the trust, right? So you just can't wake up and say, oh, okay, I fix it now. No, that's kind of built back over time. And so hang in there, you know, and I hope that that this segment talking about trust and communication was a blessing to you.
That's awesome.
All right, we have another team with us, and today we have the team Reeds with us. Hey, Reed, team
Hey, I'm
Reeds.
Lisa.
Terrence Reed.
Well, one of the things we had a great discussion with our other team, Whites, and this whole month again we're talking about relationships, and we're diving into what every married couple needs. And these next two topics are very pivotal points or pivotal areas that all married couples need. So this next area we seem to talk about that we can't get away from is respect. And what we found, Lisa, from the men, that it was one of the number one items on their list as far as what they needed when it came to couples, right? So respect is about treating each other with respect and kindness, valuing each other's opinions, boundaries, and autonomy, and then avoiding belittling, insulting, or disregarding the other person's feelings. So, Reeds, on a scale to 1 to 10, how do you feel you fall when it comes to respect, with 1 being barely tip the scale and 10 being you're experts in the area?
Well, we're definitely not experts.
Okay.
Definitely not experts. But I would give us 5, yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably go with 6, but yeah, right in there.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What makes it 5 or 6, and what are some of the things you doing well, and then what are some of the challenges overall that you think could probably get it to about a 7 or 8? Is the reason I say that is, so I've been in sales my whole life, and I'm laughing when I think about this because I used to have a leader, and so he would ask us, you know, where we were on our goals, and then where we want to be, let's say, in the next month. And I just used to burst out laughing at every meeting because inevitably someone in the meeting would be like, let's say, 40% of their goal, and they would say, "Oh, I'm gonna be 100% of the goal by." And he said, "So, if you've been working on this 2 months and you're at 40, what make you think in 30 days you're gonna be at 100?"
Right.
They weren't being realistic.
Right.
And so when I ask, you know, if you're at 5, what do you think realistically can get you to a 7 or maybe an 8, so that you're looking at it, you know, from that, seeing that measurement? What do you think can get you there?
Well, I'm saying 5 because I think that generally we have respect for one another as human beings, right?
Right,
There's,
right.
there's some boundaries about
Right.
respect. But now when it gets heated,
Yeah.
or there's a disagreement,
Right, right.
then we that it drops, right?
Right.
And so we go there with making the other person feel bad,
Yes.
right? Maybe a little belittling,
Yes.
and pointing the finger, and
Yeah.
all those things happen, right? So we still know that that's a boundary that we've overstepped,
Right,
right? So
Right.
we know that we need to have more respect
right, right.
for one another than that. So I think that that's how I look at it.
I get
At
you.
least we know that we need to build up our level of respect when we are angry and things are not going our way and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Amen. Yeah, all that. I think also, yeah, we get more disciplined. For me, I do everything I can not to go there, but you know, I'm only human. You know what I'm saying? But we're getting a lot better because, like you said, as a man, and I said when we did the men's thing, it is a level of, it's levels to it, and the respect I have to dish out or give her
Yeah,
or
yeah,
pour into
yeah.
her on a higher level
Yeah.
than just you're gonna respect me as a man. She do that, you know. So for me, I hear all the I don't want to call them insults, but like the truth start coming out, you know.
When we get upset,
So I have to
Yeah.
start analyzing some of the words I'm hearing.
Yeah.
And in my mind, like you said, it's embarrassing. You're not the powerful leader, and I'm like, wow, okay.
yeah,
Our disrespect is different though because mine's is like I'm about to blast you.
Right, right, right.
Like really,
Right.
I'm going off every word.
Pitch
I
and tone,
mean,
or
yes,
you're talking about-
everything.
okay.
It's
And
horrible.
so he's real reserved,
Yeah.
but his words are cutting.
I got you.
Yeah, so we're different in that way.
I try not to
Yeah.
be. But I know I can take a lot of blows. But I know that one word, you know, it'll slice the whole thing into pieces. So I try not to go there because I care and I
Yes.
respect her. But yeah, to get it to like a 7 or 8, I think discipline, and she said it, the awareness of the
Yes.
insulting.
Yes.
I don't really want to use that word, but for this, I'm gonna just use the word,
Yeah, yeah.
or the belittling,
Yeah.
and the trying to hurt is where
That's
I
good.
have to say.
So in other words, sometimes we actually know before we say
Yes,
that.
I know this
That's
gonna
not
hurt.
gonna be
Yeah.
good to say, but we
Yeah.
still.
We still
Yeah.
might say it, and so we done got way better. Like I said, like you know, we laugh a little bit more now, which is good because at one point it was like, I don't need you.
Yeah. Yeah,
It
been
was,
there.
it was
Yeah.
horrible. Like you
Yeah.
know, when I was single,
Yeah.
all this, that, and that. I was the greatest of all time. You know,
I was the Muhammad
yeah,
Ali
I
of
was the
relationships.
greatest, like, and I'm looking like, okay, you know, that kind of hurt, but you know, I have to stand my ground. And when I hear enough of those, I might say, "Oh, but mom don't see this," but you starting to act like your cousin. That-
Right, then you know that's insulting.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah,
And then
Yeah.
she'll go, okay.
yeah, you took the gloves off.
Yeah, I took the gloves off. But it's getting way better, to be honest, and I do think the atmosphere helped.
Amen.
But although we're adults, full grown, and I give God the glory for my discipline, but it has been tested at a
Yeah.
high level since we've been married. So to get it to that, I think the awareness, the belittling, and
Yeah.
being careful, and even being able to hear some hard words and then
Come on now.
like saying, okay, why did you say that? You know, and stop and analyze that moment, and that helped as well, because we are adults, and I always say we're adults. What I said, I'm a little more direct. Like, I really don't have the around the way kind of belittling. I really don't want to use that word. I'm just saying what I'm saying, and sometimes it sounds
You need a little sugar on it.
Yeah.
they need a little sugar on it, yeah.
Because
So
even as adults, you can be petty. You know,
Yeah.
like you find yourself being petty about a situation, and you're taking it too far. When you know, okay, if I play this card right here, it's gonna shut it down. And then that person come back with another card, like, oh, you thought you was gonna. So then you revert back to being on the
Spades.
playground, right? And you don't realize that those words that you said in those moments
yes.
is putting some type of breach between
Yeah,
you and
that-
the other person
yes,
for the
absolutely.
communication. Then you got to go back and
Mhm.
center yourself, you know.
Yeah,
And it takes a little bit of moment, you know.
Mhm.
So of course, those are things when it comes to respect, you know.
And I think the adulthood is actually what gets in the way,
Yeah.
because we're all so busy trying to prove that we're adults that we're acting childish.
Exactly.
Isn't that interesting? Like, we're so busy saying
I'm
I'm grown
Yeah.
that we don't see
Right.
how childish
Right.
we're actually acting. And really, it probably would be better if we were
Yeah.
like a child.
Exactly.
You get what I'm saying?
Childish with it.
Yeah.
That's more natural.
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah,
So-
yeah,
It
yeah.
is.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
because children, they deal, but then they heal.
But like what your wife said, we have to recalibrate, because the pettiness, you start feeling, because you know you're so disciplined. You know, I do this, I do that in the church, and you have to recalibrate and be like, wow, we got to go way back, you know, and straighten all that out.
Yeah.
I keep that to me, and I just try to take the actions, because my wife be like, I can't tell. You know, if you this and that, I can't tell. I got,
All
so-
the things you're proclaiming,
Right,
it's like,
like-
oh really? Well, when am I gonna see?
So I have
Yeah.
to go deep, you
Yeah.
know. So we're getting better in discipline, and the awareness of the pettiness.
Amen.
I like that word.
So what do you think on a scale of 1 to 10? What do you see us with respect?
I mean, we just like, I would say, if I'm a numbers guy, so you know, like ratios matters to me in numeric form.
Okay.
Meaning, like I wouldn't measure us by a month. I would look at my natural personality would do like 3 to 5 years. I know that's crazy, but that's just my personality.
Right.
And the reason I don't do that is, it's like if we go outside tonight and the moon is gray, and then so all of a sudden we start saying, you know, the moon been gray a lot. Like, it's been gray in 20 years. That's the first time. But our last memory sometimes makes us feel like the moon is
Right.
it's been great. No. So I look at it in the 3 to 5 years, and I say in the last 3 years of our marriage, I think about that, and I think we've come a long way in respect. We've had challenges, but I define respect not only in the way we acted in that moment, but the response to that moment.
Right.
So, for instance, if we got a little out of hand, but then we straightened that, and we recognized that wasn't right, and we made a commitment to do better, that's respect for me. It's not just always getting it right in the beginning.
Right.
It's, I got it wrong, we got it wrong, we talked about it, we made it right, and we're making change. Because sometimes, and I'm just telling you what I learned about my wife, we got a different definition of respect.
Oh, yeah.
My definition doesn't necessarily mean I'm right. But if we can come together and talk about it and realize that, okay, I can't do that to Tony, but that doesn't mean I was disrespectful. It meant I did something he doesn't like. You know, those are two different things.
Yeah, that's good.
I had to learn that
That's good.
I thought if I didn't like it, it meant she was being disrespectful. No, it may not have been disrespectful. It may just be something I don't like.
Boy, when I
Very
tell you
well said.
that right there,
Uh-huh.
woo,
That.
that part. I think we went back and forth with that respect thing for a long time. And it wasn't lately, and I used this with a group of women that I was doing a workshop with. I talked about the English language, like how we can say the same thing, but mean something totally, completely different. Like you can say respect and I can say respect. We're saying the same thing, but we're meaning two different things. And the only thing about the English language is that it's left up to interpretation.
Yes.
And unless I have a clear understanding of the way you interpret respect, then
That's right.
then I will miss it every single time. Right. So it wasn't until I was able to lean into not what my definition of respect was, but lean into what you considered the definition of respect was. And so then I had to be, not only that, understand what your definition, I had to yield to that because I didn't think your definition of respect was correct. But it wasn't about his definition being correct, it's what he deemed to feel as being respected or disrespected.
Right.
And
That's
so
good.
being that I didn't want him to feel disrespected, I had to honor his definition of respect. And I didn't feel like it. I didn't like his definition of respect. But it wasn't until I said, okay, if I don't lean into what he thinks the definition of respect is, we're going to continue to go in this circle where he's saying, you being disrespectful. And I had to say, well, I'm a grown woman. I can say what I want to say. And
She said that quite a bit.
right, and he said, you being disrespectful. I said, well, I'm being disrespectful. I'm a woman.
But then you used to say, I got a daddy.
I did.
She used to say that to me all the
And
time.
I would say, well,
and I'm
hey,
like,
his
I'm not
address.
trying to be.
But it felt like that. It felt like he was trying to parent me, or it felt like he was
That's
trying
not what I
to
meant.
father. And I was like, you ain't my daddy. I have a daddy. I am your wife. And there are some things that I'm going to disagree with you on. And just because I don't agree with you, that doesn't mean that it's disrespectful. But what I had to learn that it wasn't necessarily what I was saying that was agitating him or making him feel disrespectful. It was the tone I was using. It was the time I was saying it. It was like, okay, sometimes people may say, well, you shouldn't have to tiptoe around your spouse. Well, if we're already in a heated argument,
That's right.
that may not be the moment for me to bring up what my point is, because it's almost like me pouring salt on an open wound. So then it begins to escalate. So then I said, well, he can't think clear right now, so there's no need of me even bringing that up, what my perception is.
Oh, that's good.
I'm gonna have to come back later when we not here and say, last week when we were talking about X, Y, and Z, you didn't let me finish.
She good at doing that
Yeah.
with me.
I was thinking about blah, 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 blah from this particular lens, and so it doesn't seem as if I'm being disrespectful, but it does seem as if, I have an opinion, because see, that was my trigger. He doesn't value my opinion.
Right.
And it wasn't that he wasn't valuing my opinion. In that moment, he just wanted me to hear him. So I hope I didn't take up too much of the airspace.
That was
What I
good.
want to say about that is that
is showing a level of patience and self-control that a lot of times you don't have, especially when something is like you're passionate about it, you know, and you don't agree, and to be able to table that and come back to it and say, can we talk about it now? Or, you know, last week when this happened, I mean, that's a growth level, and I definitely commend you for that.
She's good.
You know, and I see myself trying to get there, but I'm just at the place where I won't cuss you out no more. You know, I'm just there. That's where I'm
Right,
at.
right.
We-
It takes
you
a
gotta praise
process.
God for being right there.
I
Right.
have to praise God for it
God
because
be glory.
I had to go.
But now that she mentioned
But I
it,
had to
yeah,
go to
God
God.
be
But
glory.
I had to go to God. I had to go to God. Y'all like,
It feel like the
but I'm
men
saying,
in it feel like the men in the church are under duress. Like, to God be the
no,
glory.
for real. I had to go to God.
Yes.
Yeah.
I really did, and I had to pray. And I just want to say that, you know, I had not been in a married relationship for a very long time.
Yeah.
So I didn't even know.
Yes.
It had been years. I'm like, what is going on?
Right.
Because
Yes.
I haven't cussed a man out
Right.
Right.
in
Yes.
many, many years.
Yes.
And here I am now. I mean, the words just fly.
Right.
Yes.
You know, and so I had to go to God, and I had to, you know, and every time I would cuss him out, I would cry, and I would repent to the
Yes,
Lord,
yes.
you know, and he didn't take no slack on me.
Right.
Oh, you call yourself a Christian woman?
Right.
You know, but anyway,
Yes.
I'm like, I sure do, you know, and my daddy understands. But I would go to God, and I had to ask God to give me restraint
Yeah, thank
and to
God.
help me to not do that.
Now,
So-
I'm not saying it's not easy because inside I'm warring with
Yes,
this
I'm sure.
other side of a
I'm
person that
sure.
wants their voice to be heard.
And I'm a natural agitator.
Oh, and he's a natural editor. So sometimes I fail the test because sometimes he is luring me in, and I have to say, I see you, devil. I see you. You want to bring out Lily, right?
on.
But I have
Right.
buried her, right? I see you, you know. And so I had to start saying, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in my sight. And sometimes I just openly start saying scripture to him, and
That's good
that
leadership.
really makes him mad, you know,
That's
right?
good leadership.
Get the Bible.
That's good leadership.
Right.
Because,
right.
yeah.
Yes. Right.
That's
Or
good
I
leadership.
start thinking about one of his messages, and I say, "Didn't you just say, son?" So we go down all of those lanes. You know, so you have to already know, number one, what your triggers are, to make you not you know, cross that line to disrespect. And you also got to have a plan. You got to
Yes.
pre-plan what you gonna do. Like, you know, David fleed from sin. That's right? He fleed from sin. So it's like, okay, what is my way of escape? You got to plan your way of escape when you
So
see
true.
yourself get ready to
So
go
true.
into this, you know, this place
So
of
true.
agitation. So what is
Or
gonna be
Joseph fled from sin.
Joseph? Okay. I knew
Whichever
one
one.
of them did, and it was like, okay, so I have to plan my way of escape. So if you're watching, pre-plan your way of escape so you don't cross over to disrespect. And what could that look like? Like, think about it. What if you had to plan your way of escape?
Oh, I have.
Okay, so what do
It
you
was
do?
a moving car.
Uh,
Terrence wasn't even stopping. He was like, well, let me stop the car first. I was getting out the car because I knew that if I stay in this car, I'm going to say a whole lot of
Hey, praise God.
Remember that?
Right.
Yeah.
But that's beautiful to know I love you enough to not want to hurt you.
Yes.
And so I'm going to get out of this car. She's good at that too, so that's a good thing you
Well,
said.
yeah.
That's not my strength right there. I like to be in the heat of the battle.
See-
That bring it on. I'm ready. I'm telling you, I'm
He
from
ain't
the
saved.
hood, so
He
we
ain't saved.
listen. I'm from the hood, and we wake up looking for a good fight. Is there a fight? Where you at,
Well,
fight?
real quick, we have to jump to empathy. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you think you are with empathy?
Oh, we need some work in that.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
So
what's your number?
I'm going to say 4.
4.
That's kind of low. If she said 4, then it's a 4.
Right.
Because, you know, it's about the empathy. Yeah, I am empathetic. You know, the thing about it, I don't, you know, what me and you talk
Yes,
about it,
we
I
did.
don't, you know, I don't know. I mean, I cry in church and all that, but I don't just be in it's like the sorrow of it, like, you know.
So let's talk about what empathy is, because
Yeah,
it goes back to the interpretation,
Yeah,
right?
what's
Right. So empathy is when you try to understand the other person's perspective and emotions.
Okay.
It doesn't mean you necessarily, totally get it, but you're trying to
Okay.
understand and identify
I do
where
that.
they are,
I do that.
And so empathy helps in resolving conflicts and in strengthening emotional connections. So let's say, for example, if I had a bad day at work and I came home and I'm telling him about it, and really he has used all his words a lot of times, and he's tired. He really don't want to hear about what my day may be, but he leans in with empathy to say, okay, I can see how that, could have hurt you, or you may be disappointed about that. Yes, tell me more. Even though in the inside he's like,
Is there
"Somebody-"
such a man? Like, okay,
Well,
if
that's
you're
a- that's
out
a-
there and you're a male and you do that, I want to tell you got some Y chromosomes of a female, because that ain't how no man does them. Oh, do tell me more.
Right.
Now, we have been in prayer that you had a good day so you don't have to come home and share nothing with us. And so we call you before you get home and say, how you doing? And you say, oh, I had a tough day. Oh, hold on, I'll call you back. Jesus, give me water. My life is... So I'm just telling you, there's not many men who are just standing, waiting to hear that. And so we need help with that.
Yeah.
Because that's just not our...
But it's funny though, because y'all want us to be empathetic with you, right? So let's say, for example, when you're not doing good on your job, or you feel overlooked for something, as a black man, or the black tax, something happens, then we're going into our toolbox of empathy. So you may say, so this is when the sexism comes into play, because you say, oh, that's,
now we're labeling.
we're no, but I'm just,
it's not a
no,
sexism.
but I'm just saying. Oh, that's what women's supposed to do. You're automatically a nurturer.
No, we're not saying that.
No.
But the thing about it, the difference between us, honey, is this. We can tell y'all what's wrong with us in 30 words or less. Y'all tell us in a 3,000-page memo, and we're saying, Doc, can you text me how you feel? Because if you text me, I can give you a better response. But y'all just go, and we're like, oh,
I want the short version.
we want the short version. That's all. That's the only
But
difference.
her definition changed it, because I do try and
I heard it. Okay.
Her neck actually cracked, by the way,
Right,
y'all.
yes.
If you was in person, it's like her neck cracked.
But no, I want to say it like this, right? When we think of the black man, right, in America, we have empathy for the black man. And you guys want that empathy. You want America to understand what you all have been through, the fight you done had to have,
That you
how you've been
continue to have.
rejected, all of those
Now, are you
things.
talking about when we're at home with y'all?
No, I'm saying just you want the empathy for when you go out into the world.
Oh, we go out in the
When
world.
you go out into the world, you want the world to
They miss
understand
that.
the black man and what the black man is up against. You do want that
But in the
empathy
home,
when you go into
in
the
the marriage.
workplace. But I'm saying, so women want that empathy as well, just like you all want that empathy as being
And you
black
don't, and
men
you
in
guys don't
America.
feel like we give that level of empathy?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't, because I
Well, we
understand the
work
black
on-
man. I understand that you are compared a lot. That you are challenged a lot. You got to be better than people that you work with of another nationality. I understand that there's some oppression and some suppression that goes on the black man, and so you want your woman to understand those things when you come home,
And y'all need the same thing.
and we want the same thing.
But
Can y'all give it to us in 30 words or less?
Okay.
That's all we say. Go ahead, Pastor T.
well, to what she's saying, that's good. But we talking about in this relationship, I think empathy, it do go both ways, and it's too easy for empathy to get, like we just did,
Yeah.
to get out there into, okay, what about this? What about women? But like he said, your definition, you said try, and like he said, I didn't say I'm just not built like that. I mean, I have empathy. I just don't be slumped over crying, be like, oh Lord, for real? Oh, baby, you know, I'm sorry, you dropped your orange and it burst open. You
See
know,
that?
I-
You see that? But see, here's the thing. But here's the thing, though. But while y'all fist bump on
he
this.
made me do it.
So empathy, you know, I'm ready to give Mel some nuggets now.
Okay.
Empathy is the gateway to intimacy.
It is.
For women.
You right
Come
about
on,
that.
It is. So if you're not getting a lot of intimacy, it could be you're not showing a lot of empathy.
Tell them about that.
Because when you lean in with empathy and you're able to show that and nurture that, you know, then that opens up the gateway for intimacy.
Well,
Is there anything you would like to say?
I'm empathetic. I want you to. I'm about to write you a poem called Empathy.
No, I don't want a poem. I don't want a poem. You
It's
know what?
hardly ever heard.
You know what? Thank you guys so much for joining the Closer Experience. As you can see, we have unpacked so much when it comes to relationships today.
I love my wife.
I hope you have enjoyed what every married couple needs. Please make sure you continue to tune in to the Closer Experience every Wednesday. You never know what you're going to get. I love you guys. We love you guys.
Yes,
and have a
we
good
do.
rest of your
Bye-bye.
night. Bye-bye.